Hi folks, welcome back to Storybite Analysis, where we're going to go over the story from the Mabinogion today about Caedmon and all his exploits. In the great place of English literature, there is a small old door with a Welsh word over it, Cymric. Through it you don't hear English, you hear Cymraeg, the language of the Welsh bards, older than the English tongue that would one day fill the halls we have been walking. But tonight, just beyond that door, there's a voice that will forever change English itself. A voice that begins where you least expect it. In a stable. A modern poet, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, once said, prose, words in their best order. Poetry, the best words in their best order. If that's true, then the first time English found its best words was not in court or a castle, but in a cattle fold at Whitby, under the care of an abbess named Hild, and in the mouth of a man who claimed he couldn't sing. We are about to meet Cædmon. First, here's a shameless plug. I'm Empty Links, indie author, comic artist, and game dev, and if you enjoy learning the lore behind the language we use every day, or the philosophy behind the punctuation which shapes how we communicate, do me a favour. Do the algorithmy things. Click subscribe if you want to follow along on the journey, and if you get something out of these videos, do me a favour and give it a like. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I drop a new video, which is just about every day, hit the bell and it will let you know when a new video is queued up. Alright, let's get back into the video. Caedmon did not learn the art of song from men, nor of men, but from God. Written by Bede. First of all, here's your craft takeaway. Begin with the story where language itself lives. See, hall, hill. Or so the character landscape, the landscape becomes a character. The hall, the harp, and the shame. Cædmon was no monk at first. He worked as a stable hand at the double monastery of Strionshall, later called Whitby. He was older, shy, a farmhand in a world of singers. In those days when night drew in and the mead-hall fires were kindled, a harp would be passed from hand to hand, and each would sing in turn, of heroes, of battles, or the works of God. But when the harp came to Cædmon, he would slip away, ashamed, because he couldn't sing. He saw the harp come near, and when he saw it, he rose up and went out of the hall, and went home to the cowshed, for he knew not how to sing. This is so human, a story about ungiftedness. In a culture of song, he is mute, and in a world where poetry is currency, he has none. And yet, this is where great stories often begin, not with the wildly talented hero, but with someone who can't, someone whose lack becomes the doorway for their grace. Here's your craft takeaway on this. Do not be afraid to start with a deficiency. A hero's shame can be the seed of their gift. The dream. Sing the beginning of all things. One night, after slipping away again, Cædmon fell asleep in the stable, and a figure stood by him in a dream and asked him to sing. I cannot, Cædmon says. But you can, says the stranger. Sing to me. Sing the beginning of all things. And in his sleep, this man, who had never sung, sang. Now, we must praise the guardian of heaven, the measurer's might and his mind's purpose, the work of the glory Father, how he, the eternal Lord, established the beginning. This is adapted from Cædmon's hymn. So, he wakes and remembers the song. He goes to the Abbess Hild, and she hears him. Gathers scholars, and they all agree, this is no ordinary talent. This is a gift. Alright, here's your analysis breakdown. We've moved from silence to speech and from shame to summons. And what is it he is asked to sing? Not warlords and blood prices, but creation. The English poet voice begins with praise, not flattery. Not propaganda, but wonder. This shifts the trajectory of English literature. The first named English poet sings of devotion. Your craft takeaway for this? The right prompt is a key. Sing the beginning. It isn't just a theme, it is a charge. Give your character a clear mythic instruction. why Cædmon matters, the birth of English poetry. Before Beowulf reached Britain, it was sung across the sea, but Caedmon's hymn was born here in the north of England around 670 and preserved by Bede. He didn't invent poetry, but he Christianized the native form. He took the old alliterative line, stressed beats, a pause in the middle, sound binding the halves, and filled it not with feuds and raids, but with cosmic praise. Illustratively, the guardian of heavenly kingdom, he the measurer, he the mighty maker, first shaped earth for us, heaven as proof. This was a short adaptation of the lines to illustrate the cadence. Your analysis thereof: hear the lift on the stressed syllables. Hear the binding sounds, G, H, M, stitching the half lines across the caesura. No end rhyme, alliteration is the glue. It's like drums, beat and pattern, the sound of the North Sea in verse. And your craft takeaway from this? Form is story. Use your word's music, its beats, its air, its sound, its pauses, to shape the cadence of your lines and watch your story flow. Naturally, almost gifted. The plagues and the cure. Wisdom over force. The story of Lludd and Llevelys sits like a brilliant amulet in the same treasury. 3 plagues fall on Britain. The Coranians who hear any whisper, a May-Eve scream that breaks the land's courage, and a thief whose illusions steal every feast. Lludd crosses the sea, not to conquer, but to ask counsel of his brother Llevelys. And how do they win? Not with swords, but with a cleansing drink poured into a speaking horn. Not with rage, but with a cauldron at the island's heart, a trap of sweetness to bind the dragons. Not with panic, but with a watchfulness, catching the thief by hand at dawn. Example: go to the centre of the land, set a cauldron, and when their strength is spent, bind them and hide them. Your analysis thereof: this is Welsh magic at its most characteristic, clever, courteous, and communal. The hero's greatest weapon is attention and the willingness to seek help. It echoes what we have seen with Cædmon. Wisdom isn't loud, it's clear. It binds what cannot be slain. Your craft takeaway for this: let your hero's victory come from listening and strategy. It's more mythic and more moving than brute force alone. From stable to story, the beacon of Whitby. Caedmon's gift altered more than just his life. It tilted the axis of a culture. He entered the monastery, composed sacred songs in the native music of his people, and made it normal to hear holy things in English. He built a bridge from pagan alliteration to Christian praise, from scop to scribe, from mead-hall to manuscript, and he did it with humility in the north. Example: dark and true and tender, as one later poet said. From that cattle fold at Storybite, English poetry stepped into its own, a beacon that still glows. He did not learn from men, nor of men, but from God. This has been Storybite Analysis, and I'm MT Links. I hope you enjoyed the story breakdown as much as I did. So, if you're looking to just hear the story, you can click on this video right here for Storybite Reads, or if you'd rather just hear me read it with no video involvement, you can head on over to Spotify on my channel, Whispers of the Myth Chain, where you can hear all the stories I've analysed, read just for you. No video aspect, nothing to watch. And now you know. I'll see you in the next video. That one right there. See you there.